Hey guys, yeah, it's around 5:04 right now p.m. Pacific time, and I want to welcome you guys to the second edition of the Countdown to 2020 WIP Work in Progress reviews of stories that you can find on DeviantArt and other sites. And this next story is one that you can find at a place called Eka's Portal. Eka's Portal. That's EKA, comma, or a parenthesis. It's EKE. It's EKA parentheses S portal. That's what it is. It's EKA parentheses portal, and its website that you can in the website you can find it at is aryion.com/G4. That's aryion.com/G4. And the person behind this story is called Crime Zero Edge. And the story series that I'm talking about is called The Great Hair-dini. The Great Hair-dini. And this is a work in progress WIP story series that, well, kind of is still a work in progress, only if you decide to commission Crime Zero Edge to continue it, which I've done for a majority of it, believe me. But Crime Zero Edge, just like Minor Dash Alterations and even Mr. Internet Man in their collaboration and separately, has more than just the Great Hair-dini stories on hand. He's got a peripheral of stories to check out with similar, if not identical, themes. Now, with that said, the Great Hair-dini, or the Great Hair-dini, of course, is a play on the Great Houdini. But in this case, the story synopsis goes like this. It's based and centered around a family, mostly certain individuals, but it starts off origin-wise with the daughter of the family getting magical hair, or basically having her hair turned magical. Now what this does, it allows her to do a lot of things with her hair that a normal individual couldn't do. It allows her to shapeshift her hair and even herself with the power of the hair into anyone or anything she wants to be. Well, at least that's what she would be able to do later on in future stories, or future editions, chapters, if you will. And it's not just that either. It's not just that. She's also able to infuse, grant the same abilities to others along with their hair. And that's what she does with her family and some of their friends. The first story is just called The Great Hair-dini, and it involves the daughter showing off what she can do with her magic hair to her dad. Now, of course, logically, anybody with any sense in reality would be like, get the heck out of Dodge. I don't know what's going on. I gotta get this thing off my family member and find a cure or whatever, right? Well, that's kind of how it plays out with the father, and then later on the mother, and even the family friend and all that. But as time goes on in this first story, like I said, that is kind of the gist of the direction that they're going in. But what happens is over time, the hair, along with the daughter's help, has a bit of a more positive influence on how the hair affects the family members, on how it basically changes the mindset from being fearful to being acceptive. And the story ends with the father allowing himself to not only go in that direction of being acceptive of this new ability the daughter has, but he allows himself to be enveloped / absorbed slash engulfed and become one with the hair. I mean, many depictions in text in the story that kind of show that the last we see of the father is just his face and the hair, because he's now become one with it. And then the first story ends with the mother then getting a demonstration, and she too succumbing and accepting this new ability that her daughter has that allows her to become hair, if you know what I mean. But like I said, the mother herself later on at the end of the first story gets involved as well, or basically unwillingly slash willingly later on gets herself involved, and she too also succumbs to accepting the abilities that the daughter's hair now has, and she too becomes one with it. As a matter of fact, as the text in the story describes, from the parental side of things, the parents basically become lost in a strand of hair. In other words, they're lost amongst the strands of hair. Now, later on, in future editions, like I was saying, later on in future editions that I would actually commission, the story would focus more from the daughter, even though the daughter would still be seen, acknowledged, and referenced, and focus more on the mother. Because from my perspective, I think if any character could really go from being unsure about what's going on to being like, yeah, I like this. This is now who I am, and I'm willing to accept this for what it is and for what I've become, it's the mother. And the next 4 chapters after that in the great Hair-dini story series focuses on the mom. It does involve the daughter a little bit still, like I say, references, moments, flashbacks, if you will. It even, from the mother's perspective, hold on for a sec. Like I said, the second story, which was the first one I commissioned in it, has a view and perspective from the mother's side of things. And the mother actually flashes back to when she first encountered this situation and then finally accepted it. She even describes some of the things that happened, like the daughter playing a game of, a magic game, or supposed magic game of guess the card. And the mother describing that a hand comes out of the hair, and she could only describe it as being what's left of her husband's hand, as it points to the card that she believes, she has fun teasing the mother about, saying, oh, that's the card you chose. Okay, cool. So anyway, yeah, it basically goes from the mother's perspective. And chapter 2, basically is, like I say, more of a conclusion to chapter 1 on and everything, but more focused a little bit more on the mother and the daughter than the father. And then, like I said, later on when we get to chapters 3, 4, 5, and even 6, the focus starts going more into the mother's direction than anything else. And she really becomes like the main character and becomes the one that's just having so much crazy, wild fun with this now magical hair, that because of her daughter getting it originally and then giving it to her mother, that, she's having, basically what I'm saying is she's having more fun and having all this wild, crazy fun than ever before, and never thought imaginable or possibly even being able to happen. She's just going all out, in the third chapter, which is called Hair and Happiness. There's a 4th chapter where she I guess off screen, introduces the ability of the magic hair to her friend Tiffany, and her friend, just becomes immured and enthusiastic about it herself, if not obsessed with it. And she basically spends a weekend together with the mother, whose name is Linda, ends up spending a weekend with her best friend because it's her best friend's birthday. And her best friend basically just wants Linda to use her powers to do anything she ask her to do, become anything she asks her to do. And that's what happens. Linda, some of the things Linda goes through, her friend asked her to cocoon her in hair. And that's what she does. She turns herself basically into a cocoon of hair hanging from the ceiling. She asked her to become some clothing. She becomes clothing, stuff like that. She even asked her to fuse with her in the end, and they fuse and become an entity that the daughter later on calls Tinda, which is a combination of Tiffany and Linda's names. Then we get to the 5th chapter, which is called Tiffany's Personal Time, or Personal Fun, and it's focused on Tiffany. And in this story, the daughter grants Tiffany the ability to have magical hair. And Tiffany, basically, because she's so amored and obsessed and just crazed about this hair, goes all out. I mean, literally just goes all out with this power she now has, even beyond anything Linda has ever done, to the point that she's able to transfer or able to manipulate the hair into an almost, if not a liquefied state that evaporates to the point that after she completely turns into a liquid that completely evaporates, there's a line she throws in there, or I threw in there just for her to say, but I didn't think, Crime Zero Edge would add it, but he did, where Tiffany says the line, Tiffany doesn't exist anymore, because technically she doesn't. And then the following one is called A Weekend to Remember, where basically the mother Linda and Tiffany go off to spend time with each other in the woods, in a cabin, a suite-like cabin, and they go and have all kinds of crazy fun. They go through all kinds of transformations. Like Linda turns herself into a boat and says she's not Linda the person anymore, she's Linda the boat. Tiffany has a stab at that and calls herself Tiffany the dirt bike. They take over the lake and basically speak when they talk, bubbles appear in the lake and they pop when they speak. Tiffany even reenacts her doesn't exist anymore deal. They are able to project steam/smoke-like images of themselves in the air. Then they're able to, later on, go deeper into the forest, and Linda is able to show how far she's come with her new magical hair by turning into a freaking beanstalk with vines that takes over the forest, and later basically absorbs Tiffany into her. And the end result is this beanstalk-like tree on one of the following days has nothing but faces going across it, moaning and kissing and whatever. I mean, even when she becomes a tree, that being Linda, fruits appear off her branches, and it shows, according to what Crime Zero Edge put in the description or in the writing, it shows Linda in a fetal position. And then the end result is them going back to the cabin, but in a fused form of Tinda from the previous chapter. They both reappear with Tinda in a jacuzzi, but almost in hair swamp-like figuring. And then basically it ends with them having the biggest moment, if you get my drift, ever, which causes the roof to explode, to break open on the suite-like cabin. And basically, it causes them to not only explode through the roof, but rain down onto the forest and then disperse into evaporation, where you hear, I guess, a combined version of both the voices as Tinda saying, Linda and Tiffany no longer exist. And then, according to the description, there's an image of them dancing through space blissfully after what's happened. Now, I don't know, honestly, I don't know what you could do next as far as a 7th chapter goes, because if you're new to it and you read that, to you, you're thinking, oh my gosh, so Tinder is now fully her own thing now. She's her own personality, and Tiffany and Linda are just kaput, right? No. You see, truth is, I had that line thrown in at the end to kind of create a little bit of mystery. Because you don't know whether or not Tiffany and Linda are completely gone, which I will say they are not gone, thank goodness. But it does throw in a little bit of intrigue and mystery, because the last character to say anything in that story is the fused form of Linda and Tiffany called Tinda. But yeah, the great Hair-dini story, the great Hair-dini story by Crimes Over Hedge at Echo's Portal. The first chapter, just called The Great Hair-dini, is what really got me intrigued, and what really got me to want to contribute and pay for the commissions to have continuations done, because I saw a lot of potential here, and I still do. I really still see a lot of potential. And in today's day and age, I see potential with something like this getting that next step, and that next step being possibly web animations. I could see that happening. We're in that day and age where it can happen and it can occur. But I say, honestly, check it out for yourselves. I say, check it out for yourselves. You will not, and I'm repeating this, you will not be disappointed by what you read. You might find it a little weird, but you won't be disappointed. And that's all I can say on this second edition of the Countdown to 2020 WIP Work in Progress Reviews story series at places like DeviantArt and Echo's Portal. And basically this one being on the great Hair-dini story. Again, check it out. I will try to provide links down below so you can check out all the stories, as well as Crime Zero Edge's own page and gallery as well. So until then, guys, thank you for listening. I'm going to get back into Walmart here because I got some shopping to do, and I got to meet up with my family to do some Christmas shopping, because I have a 15% associate discount on hand now because I worked Thanksgiving weekend. So that's all I'm going to say, guys, but let me know what you all think, and I'll talk to y'all later. God bless, take care, and I am out. Peace.